It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for October 19th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Microsoft wants to open a mobile game store. That new Sims game got confirmed, and you can finally step on Pikachu. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Lucy James from Giant Bomb. Lucy, how are you doing?
Hi. It's been a minute. God, I don't think I've been on since like August because I've been traveling a bunch.
You were traveling and then traveling some more and then
I got
busy
COVID.
Entertaining and got COVID. Yes. We went to New York. It's been a lot.
It's been a lot, but I'm back now. My cat is thrilled, and I'm thrilled to be back because I've missed doing this.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. When we confirmed yesterday. I'm like, oh great, that'd be nice to hang out and talk about video game news with Lucy again.
Yeah.
But it was also I'm glad you got to do some of that traveling, even though some of it was government mandated or whatever.
Iceland is a lovely place.
Iceland is definitely a lovely place. How's your kitty cat doing now that you're back? Feeling all happy about it?
She's great. She's oh god, yeah. I mean, she had a burst anal abscess while I was gone.
I mean, who doesn't?
Who doesn't? I mean, yeah, I feel like she did it out of spite because I was gone, but no, she's totally fine now. She's actually kind of a little bit annoyed because she this is peak snuggling hours, you know. So.
Sure, yeah. I mean, first thing in the morning. I can imagine. I mean, does your cat get the zoomies at like dawn? Because that's what mine does. Whenever the sun comes up, that's what happens.
Oh,
yeah.
No, Peanut's too lazy.
Hell yeah.
she gets the zoomies like once a week, and then
that's a schedule I can respect.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like it.
All right, we're gonna get into this show. Before we do so, let's explain ourselves. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into. Let's start the morning mess with Microsoft is building an Xbox mobile gaming store to take on Apple and Google. This comes from Tom Warren at The Verge. Microsoft is building an Xbox store to directly offer games on mobile devices, challenging Apple and Google. The software giant first hinted at a next-generation store it would build for games earlier this year, but now it has quietly revealed the details of that plan in filings in the UK's Competitions and Market Authority, the bureaucracy there that's overlooking their big deal. As part of looking into that $69 billion deal to acquire Activision, Microsoft explaining its reasoning here and why this isn't about keeping Call of Duty away from PlayStation. This is about establishing a Microsoft business on mobile. I'll read the quote from the documentation itself. The transaction will improve Microsoft's ability to create a next-generation game store which operates across a range of devices, including mobile, as a result of the addition of Activision Blizzard's content. Building on Activision Blizzard's existing communities of gamers, Xbox will seek to scale the Xbox Store to mobile, attracting gamers to a new Xbox mobile platform. Shifting consumers away from the Google Play Store and App Store on mobile devices will, however, require a major shift in consumer behavior. Microsoft hopes that by offering well-known and popular content, gamers will be more inclined to try something new. There's more to this, obviously, but obvious hurdles here right out of the gate. Apple's not going to allow this to happen. So what do you think Microsoft's plan is? Obviously, this is a long-term plan, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what they're even going to do. It's like Microsoft is fighting a war on so many fronts right now with trying to push the Activision Blizzard King deal through and now taking on not just one giant mobile and all-consuming conglomerate, but two with Apple and Google. I understand the reasoning behind it. Like that 30% cut on mobile is going to hurt. Apple at the moment doesn't necessarily allow xCloud to maybe work. Like there's not even an app, right? You have to get the Xbox app or you have to make it through, make a shortcut through Safari.
Yes.
Anything has to be easier than doing that. So, I mean, I'm intrigued by this. I can't necessarily see this going smoothly.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, the thing that first occurs to me here is we are getting a new sort of mobile store popping up right now, and it's just the fact that SteamOS put Steam up front on the Steam Deck, and as other devices come out, they might be more likely to use SteamOS, and that's one possible future. Microsoft way behind the ball when it comes to that sort of thing. They don't have a very good ARM-based version of Windows that they can put on mobile devices, so that when this Logitech G Cloud gaming device comes out that Microsoft's partnered with, and just, putting a Microsoft App Store on there might make some sense. But also what makes sense for people is, well, if we're making hardware and we need to have a store available on there, cloud gaming is one thing. Having Steam as the thing front and center maybe makes even more sense, because they've done all the work to make sure it runs on all these other devices already. Maybe that's where the way we should be going with these things. Now, that's still, the Steam Deck is still x86. These are mobile devices that are using a different architecture, but the pathway forward seems to be working for SteamOS. And when it comes to something like making an alternative to the Apple App Store or Google Play, well, we've seen that. Epic tried to do that with the biggest game in the world at the time, Fortnite. Still one of the biggest games in the world. But when they were trying to do this, at the height of trying to make the Epic Game Store mobile version work, it was you can only get Fortnite on Android through the store, and that didn't work. Epic has admitted that never was going to work, and that's why they began taking the fight back to Google and Apple and saying, you should let us put our stuff on your store and let us have our own payment processing thing. I'm struggling to imagine what Microsoft can do different than Epic, other than maybe offer Candy Crush Saga and Call of Duty Mobile, which is maybe a wider variety than just Fortnite. But still, I don't know what they can do different. Do you have anything that comes to mind?
I mean, no, and I don't think Apple is going to let a cash cow like Candy Crush go. It's going to be very, very weird. Like, part of that quote is they're going to have, well-known and popular content.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, like Game Pass, but I can't think of what's the killer app. Is the killer app Game Pass? And again, it's like, it's fantastic to be able to play stuff on the go, but is that really the best place that you want to play Halo?
Yeah.
Or whatever from Bethesda, it's like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of comes together.
Yeah, and it's Microsoft speaks to it. It will require a major shift in consumer behavior. That just doesn't happen, really. You don't really change people's behavior all that much. All the studies show this. I remember hearing a podcast about where they tried to figure out what was the best way to get people to become organ donors, and the only thing that worked was making it opt out instead of opt in.
Yeah.
And once you changed it, everyone became an organ donor. And not only that, they're like, I decided to become an organ donor. Even though had it been unchecked, they probably would have just left it and not thought about it. They thought they were making the decision. And so even then, you're changing. People think they might have changed their behavior, but they just went with the path of least resistance. And that is, there's just no real great way for Microsoft to fight against the path of least resistance on when you buy an iPhone or you buy an Android device. Now, sure, there are these Logitech G Cloud things and the Razer, whatever they're calling it, the Razer Edge little handheld computers that are primarily for cloud streaming, but they will have some local processing power, especially that Razer thing. If those things come pre-installed with a Microsoft Game Store for mobile, sure, I could see some potential there. But right now, those devices look pretty pitiful, even the Razer one, compared to getting a $400 Steam Deck. So they're going to have their own battle on top of trying to make this store work, right?
Well, especially because that Logitech one is, what, 300? And for 500, I can't remember the exact
Logitech one is like 350 at discount, I think. Or no, 350 normally and 300 at launch discount.
Why not just buy a Steam Deck?
Yeah.
Like, because this is, I'm not saying it's the Ouya problem, but it's like, if Ouya had its own issues, and they all had their own issues with regards to how ubiquitous, like, and how good people's internet was. Is this going to be a thing that I can easily take outside and I can't play it on a plane? I can't You know,
Right.
Phil Spencer was like, oh, I took it to Tokyo Game Show and I was able to do it on hotel Wi-Fi. I was like, great, Phil, but what about the time you were on a plane all the way over to Tokyo? What did you do? You know, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's kind of like we need to get into streaming in a big way, but we don't want to have to get people to pay for, you know,
Yeah.
a little band of like a Wi-Fi, what did you call it? Like a roaming thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of, I don't see the Logitech thing kind of going well, as awful as it is to say, because I don't personally see the market for it. Like, especially when Steam Deck is right there and there are no more barriers to entry anymore. In terms of getting a reservation, there's obviously barriers to entry and getting a Steam Deck, but like in terms of money. But yeah, that Logitech thing, it just feels like a weird price point for a weird product that Microsoft is seemingly going all in on because they need to stake a claim.
Yeah, and it's all those issues you just laid out. Well, the other side of this is, they do get some of the most profitable and most entrenched mobile games in the history of the world. Candy Crush Saga has been one of the top grossing, if not the top grossing mobile game for a decade now, a decade straight, almost uncontested. Yeah. That all of that power, all of the money still does not help with this problem you've identified, because you get a Logitech thing with the Microsoft Store pre-installed. It doesn't do cloud gaming when you don't have an internet connection. So what can you do locally? You could play Candy Crush Saga. These devices are not for the people playing Candy Crush Saga.
No, but then even if you are playing Candy Crush Saga and you get to the inevitable point where you get stuck and you can't pay for those microtransactions, so it's like, well, why is it there?
Yeah,
and that, thinking from the business side of things, you're potentially playing it. You're potentially giving a product to people and then cutting off the online functionality part that makes you money.
It's very easy for us to sit here and point out all the reasons this won't work. I suppose I am still glad that they're trying something. I just wish they would really try and do the hardware software integration themselves. Build a device that you think you want us playing on. Yeah, we all have phones. If that's really you just want us playing on our phones and you don't want to create a new device, okay, I don't think that's going to work, but fine. But if you are also partnering with these third-party devices like Logitech and Razer, at a certain point, don't just partner with Logitech and Razer. Build a Microsoft Surface gaming handheld that has all this stuff working, and show us the platonic ideal of what a Microsoft handheld gaming experience should be, and then maybe this will make more sense. But as is, it's so easy to see all the ways that a new mobile game store based anywhere other than China just has no real chance of working. Yeah. You're just not going to convince people to jump on board with that. That said, this is still where Microsoft is focusing many of its arguments about why it needs this deal, and it's because it's in a space where it has no presence. More quotes from that documentation. The transaction gives Microsoft a meaningful presence in mobile gaming. Mobile gaming revenues from the King division and titles such as Call of Duty Mobile, as well as ancillary revenue, represented more than half of Activision Blizzard's revenues in the first half of 2022. Mobile customers account for around 3/4 of its monthly active users. Microsoft currently has no meaningful presence in mobile gaming, and the transaction will bring...
Fucking own Nokia?
I think they spun off Nokia, didn't they? I don't remember anymore.
I don't remember, but they definitely, they had a mobile presence.
Yes, they did. And
Windows Phone, don't forget about that.
Yep. And
fantastic piece of engineering.
Yeah, I got a Windows Phone and I installed Android on it early on. I remember doing that. The transaction will be will bring much needed expertise in mobile game development, marketing, and advertising. Activision Blizzard will be able to contribute its learnings from developing and publishing mobile games to Xbox gaming studios. Yeah, okay. That'll do.
They're really talking as if Activision Blizzard's like gonna go through, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it probably is, but it is the balls on them here. It's like, yeah, and then we've already got Activision Blizzard. It's fine. It's in the can. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and these are arguments that Microsoft is making to the CMA in the UK. Do you think that this is a potentially winning argument for them to distract from what PlayStation is bringing up as its issues? Because my take is the CMA is laser focused on whatever Jim Ryan is telling them is the problem, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, so you need a mobile gaming company and you're buying this, but what about Call of Duty? I think it's gonna all of it's gonna come back to that, right?
I mean, yeah, but then those figures where it's like more than half of Activision Blizzard's revenues for the first half of 2022 being from mobile, that's really the thing they should be focusing on if they are truly worried. And if Jim Ryan was, I mean, I don't know, Sony doesn't necessarily have really much stake in the mobile game space, but if he really wanted to make a case that perhaps, you know, giant conglomerate becomes an even more giant conglomerate, maybe talk about how much they're absolutely going to dominate the mobile space too, on top of trying to make their own app store.
Yeah. We'll have to see where this goes. The the obvious problems that we've laid out are going to be hurdles that will require a number of ways of solving them for Microsoft. The Apple not allowing something like this. Well, Apple's hand might be forced eventually by regulators. We'll see. It feels like it's still trending in that direction. We'll see if it ever gets to the point where something like this could be forced to be permitted by Apple. And then the issue of how do you get people to care about this? Sure, you're going to have Activision Blizzard King games, all of the Microsoft offerings, but what about like third-party stuff? Well, Microsoft does have a strategy there. Last year or earlier this year, they announced that they are going to enable anyone to bring their stuff to the Microsoft Store and the Xbox Store eventually, it sounds like, and bring your own payment processing engine, as they put it, which was always the key thing that Epic wanted, where it's like, hey, we can get our own payment processor that takes a whole lot less money than 30%. Let us do that. And Apple and Google are like, well, that's just silly. How dare you suggest such a thing? And Microsoft's like, we'll do it. We'll just do that. And so a company like Epic might, they already have a pretty close relationship with Microsoft. They've teamed up to battle against Apple. They might show up with Fortnite and whatever else on the store if it enables them to have their own payment processor. Maybe that stuff can help. It still doesn't feel like it's enough, though.
I mean, yeah, but if you're looking at it sort of like a allies kind of thing, it would be pretty cool to see Epic and Xbox team up.
Yeah,
like adorn. Look to the east, and there's just
Yeah, there's Tim Sweeney.
Logo. Tim Sweeney on a
Shadow Rider.
Something
What's the
from
horse's
Fortnite.
name? Yeah, right. Yes, a loot pinata or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, or the pinata.
Yeah, loot llama.
No. Yeah, it's gonna be Shadow. I don't know.
Yeah.
What a weird ploy. It is very much the corporate wars, isn't it?
Yes, right.
It's the end of the world and the corporate wars. So.
And here we are talking about it. We can't avoid it. Next up, EA reveals that it is indeed working on a new The Sims. The Sims Project Renee was revealed. It's a next-generation Sims game. As we talked about on this show previously when we were saying, hey, what's going on with The Sims? It is very, very early in development. Let's go ahead and bring it up here, some looks at it. They're going to try to make it very easy to work together and share stuff that you do in the game, and it will offer the same experience on different devices. I think it's cool that they're announcing it this early. This comes right as they are making the Sims 4 base version free to play. And not even like, I guess it's free to play is one way, but it's just free because it's not like it has traditional microtransactions. It has DLC packs. Listen, it has.
Fuck me.
It has a lot of way to spend
packs.
a lot of money. Absolutely.
It's over 1,000 to get every single pack for The Sims 4 right now.
Right, but it's like it's not free to play in the way where there's timers or anything like that. I guess I'm like there feels like there's a distinction there, but maybe there's not. Either way, yeah, the base game is free. You're going to be able to spend a lot of money on those packs and whatever else they're called. But and now
custom content. If you don't want to spend all that fucking money, custom content. People are out there making some amazing shit.
Yeah, and I mean they are at least hinting, they're gesturing at that's going to be easier than ever, very easy to work together and share. I don't know if that explicitly means multiplayer, but that's what it sounds like to me, being able to you know what it sounds like, EA's new Skate game, where that game's all about getting together in the world with your friends, skating around, making stuff in real time, and all messing around with it at like a playground, a sandbox. And so The Sims is obviously something that could benefit from that same exact concept. And it's one that is just popular across all genres right now. So, are you happy with the early tidbits that we're getting from this Project Renee?
mean, so very early in development, very easy to work together and share. Work together and share. So that's always been a core tenet of The Sims, is the way that they've always embraced modding. They've always embraced custom content, and even past The Sims 1. And they had a bit of a slip up. It was either earlier this year or late last year where they tried to basically not shut down, but like kind of get a rev share from modders who were making stuff and charging for it. And I think that was kind of a bit of a wake-up call for them. So I'm very interested to see how they all go together hand in hand for Project Renee, when they are going to be, you know, saying that it's easier to share, it's easier to create. Secretly, like, it's really cool that they've got the phone on there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would really want to be playing the Sims on the phone, but I'm intrigued by it. Like, The Sims 4 is certainly not without its problems, and I think it was, again, a real learning experience for EA and Maxis. Even I would say to a degree Sims 3 was as well. Sims 2 is still, in a lot of people's eyes, the pinnacle of the franchise. And with regard to Sims 4, they certainly stripped out so much at the very beginning, going to add them on as expansions and stuff packs and whatever. And then they've kind of been doing a lot of make good stuff with The Sims. So adding in freebies, they added like a whole bunch of skin tones because that was sorely lacking in the base game. They're changing things where they're adding in new animations, new changes. They're retooling old packs that people weren't necessarily happy with. So they are doing a lot, and they're generating a lot of goodwill. And I really hope that carries on to Sims 5.
Yeah.
One thing I would say that would be really cool is they had this idea for, or like it was a core gameplay part of like Sim City 2014 or 13, whenever it was, where, you know, you could kind of work together to build stuff, right? And I just think if you're taking elements of kind of working together online, like I would love to take my Sim and meet my other friends' Sims. Like that could be really great for content creators as well. Like think of the challenges they could make from that. Mm-hmm. I think, I'm really intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by it. The Sims they're pretty open. They talk to their community a lot. I'm really intrigued to see what they do. Yeah,
this is a development team that has been working on these games for a very long time now. They definitely have built that connection with their community, but you're right that the momentum going from the end of life of The Sims 4 into Sims 5 is something that this studio's never really been able to pull off before. It has always been sort of, hey, the high tide of the end of one game going to a very, very low tide to start a new game in terms of the availability of content and features and issues.
Like Sims 3's open world was like for a while the Sims 3, and actually the Sims 3 is still very buggy. Like it doesn't run particularly well. Sims 4 had just a dearth of content, and then so they need to fix that going into Sims 5. Like they need it to be the big shiny thing that's full of things that people actually want.
And at the same time, they're solving all the other problems you alluded to of trying to make this game make sense in a modern monetization environment where, hey, you know, do we do more microtransactions? Is this really a games as a service, or is this a game that's going to continue to be a catalog game where you just go into the catalog and pick out the packs that you want? And, you know, it's worked really well that way, but these have got to be internal debates, and they're like trying to navigate that while also having to make a game that is going to just fundamentally please a vocal and dedicated audience right out of the gate. But it's very, very early, and they have time to figure these things out. And I think EA is at a point where they are willing to give their studios, no matter who they are, a lot of time to work on their games and make them make sense, and also have this ongoing connection with their community. This is the third game now from EA that we've seen very, very early stuff from, and that includes Skate and Dead Space. It was like, you know, they're showing us all the stuff all throughout development long before they gave us the gameplay trailer, and now this clearly this is EA's strategy in terms of how they announce stuff now, and it feels more open and it feels informative in the way that they're thinking about their games, and I hope that is something that isn't just the marketing side of things. I hope it carries over to the final products. We haven't seen any of these games come out as final products yet, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's also got to be a shareholder thing, where it's like, hey, look at all the stuff that we've got that people are so excited about.
We get a lot of that from, I mean, a lot of those announcements of, they're for shareholders, and they're for, hey, we need to attract talent. Talent is so hard to come by. We need anything we can do to get people excited to come work on this stuff. But EA's really leaned into it harder than a lot of other companies. So I think it's something. I think it's coming from somewhere else. It's probably coming in part from the shift to doing things the way Vince Zampella does it, and that's having an effect across the entire company. Call of Duty may not appear on Game Pass for a number of years due to a prior Activision Sony deal. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. Shoutouts to Jordan. Microsoft recently published its response to the Competition Markets Authority's decision to review the $69 billion merger due to several concerns, including the impact of competition in the console, game streaming, and subscription spaces. In it, a footnote references a tweet from Phil Spencer alluding to prior agreements between Activision and Sony, which would prohibit Microsoft from adding Call of Duty to Game Pass, even in the event that the acquisition was approved. The quote here, the agreement between Activision Blizzard and Sony includes restrictions on the ability of Activision Blizzard to place Call of Duty titles on Game Pass for a number of years, the footnote reads. This is something that we've seen before in that leaked Resident Evil Village contract, where that was the co-marketing deal between Sony and Capcom, and if you went through that contract, you could find a space where it's basically said, it didn't mention Game Pass by name, but it just says, by accepting this money for us to promote your thing, you cannot then go within this, the time of the contract to take your game and put it on another promotional service, another subscription service, anything like that, because that would count as you then using your content to promote a competitor's thing. And so this is, and that's boilerplate stuff for all these contracts. So it always felt like this was going to be the case, which was why I'm like, a lot of people just assume the deal goes through the next day. Call of Duty and the entire history of Call of Duty, except for maybe the most recent one, is on Game Pass right away. And I'm like, we'll have to wait and see. I'm just not as sure about that. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think this is something that, as soon as the contracts are up, they will be on their day one? Or do you think maybe Microsoft will find some way to finagle their way out of it? I don't know.
I think that will probably be the make good with Sony, is that it doesn't go on, at least immediately, or at least for a couple of years. I think Jim is really going to fight this. And he has been, but I think, that's the real sticking point is COD. And I don't think he would necessarily fall back on that one. Yeah. I'm also terrified of just like the prospect of any tweet just being a footnote in a massive agreement like this, like a massive legal contract or a legal dealing. But no, it's in a bit. Yeah. I would give it years at this point. What do you think? Years. This sounds about right. Coming at least until the end of the ongoing deal. That because probably what happens here is these contracts get written, and then they apply to a certain set of games, and then a new game's coming, and the last contract's about to expire, and they make a new contract, but it also sort of updates and refreshes everything that applied to those previous games. And so I would imagine that we are going to get to the end of the current contract. Microsoft, who will probably own Activision at that time, and Sony will not re-up that contract, and then once it's gone, they'll be able to do what they want with Call of Duty. But until then, it might be a handful of Call of Duties that somehow slip through the crack, and they'll be the much older ones, and it'll be backwards compatibility stuff. But anything recent probably won't get to won't have the ability to be on Game Pass until this is all over. And that's not just the approval, but the deals themselves. We got the recommended specs for Gotham Knights on PC. They said for minimum required specifications, they recommend a 1660 Ti or a Radeon RX 590, which the RX 590 is a pretty old card. It was a new card in 2018, but it was based on a pretty old architecture at that point. So, these are not like the lowest minimum specs you're going to find. And especially when you get to the CPUs, they're recommending for minimum spec an i5 9600K or a Ryzen 5 3600. Those are pretty powerful CPUs. And so, these are not the lowest specs in the world. But still, an RX 590 feels like a reasonable thing. And this is for 1080p at the lowest settings, 60 frames per second. Then for recommended, they say a 2070 or a 5700 XT.
And then for the CPU, an i7-10700K or a Ryzen 5 5600X, excuse me. And that's like a really recent CPU, that 5600X, I feel. I mean, I guess maybe it's several years old at this point, but it's like that's just like the last gen or the previous to the last gen from AMD. So, not the most optimized game in the world, definitely not, but also it just makes me wonder, why is it still 30 frames per second on console? I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out when reviews come out.
Yeah, I think so. I saw someone on social media saying they were coming tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll see. All right, and then the Xbox Game Pass games were announced. Just go through these real quick. Amnesia Collection, it's coming October 20th. So is Amnesia Rebirth, as well as Phantom Abyss. Phantom Abyss is one of my favorite indie games in the last couple of years. It's just a first-person Indiana Jones run-based game, and I really like it. Like, just whipping on things and swinging is one of the best feelings in the game, and they really nailed that. Soma also coming October 20th. Then October 21st, we get Persona 5 Royal. Then on the 27th, we get Frog Detective The Entire Mystery, Gunfire Reborn, and Signalis. That is a day one release on Game Pass for Signalis, which I've heard a little bit about, but I haven't looked into it too much myself. But people seem to be talking about it at least. I don't know if there's any quality there or not.
Too many. How do you? Right. A sidebar.
Sure. Please.
How do you find time to play everything?
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where we're working a lot, and I have, when I get done with work, it's like, oh man, I haven't seen my kids much today. I'm gonna go hang out with them, and then it's like, all right, let's cozy up with the Steam Deck, and I'm asleep. and I wake up and it's 7 a.m. and it's time to start it all over again. I've been trying. What I've done is, when I do get a little bit of time in the morning now, after getting the kids ready for school at 7 a.m., there's a brief window there where I don't have to start putting the rundown for Game Mess mornings together right away. I could spend 45 minutes, an hour playing something, and I just got to give. I think a lot of this stuff happens where it's like I need to just give myself permission to do things. Like, that's what happened with naps. I'm like, oh, I can't take a 10-minute nap. That's not gonna.
Yes, you can.
That's not gonna do anything. No, you know what? It doesn't have to do anything. Just go lay down, close your eyes for 10 minutes. It's okay. And once I started telling myself it's okay to do that, it actually was effective, and I really did appreciate it. And it's okay. You know what, Jeff? 45 minutes is enough time to get to do anything in a game. That doesn't matter. Just go play something. You want to play something, just go do it. So it's like talking myself into it. I got a little bit into a review game yesterday doing that exact thing. And then I played some PGA Tour this morning on the Steam Deck, and that was it was fun. How about you? Because, I mean, you're even busier than I am, it feels like. So
it's something that I want to change the way I approach it. So Tam and I interviewed Charlie Cleveland and Brandon Sanderson about Moonbreaker a couple weeks ago. And Brandon Sanderson, author, possibly the busiest man, like, he wrote 5 books just out of nowhere, you know? Yep. And like, when we were talking to him, I was like, how do you find time for this? And he went, I give myself 2 hours every day to just do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my time. And like, he everything else, he's super like organized, gets stuff done. But then he has these 2 hours where he just like plays a game, or he reads a book or whatever. And so I'm like, oh, I kind of want to maybe incorporate that. Because, like, as well, I live by myself. Cooking is the annoying thing for me. So if I just basically min-max cooking so I get more time back, meal prep, I guess. But also, I'm not a morning person. And so I don't necessarily have that time in the morning. But I don't know. It's just like sometimes I'll kind of, if it's like 4 p.m. and I know I don't have anything else at work to do today, I'm just like, I'll play a game, because that is technically part of my job.
Yeah, and
Boniello says only a gamer would call meal prepping min-maxing cooking.
The real strat for me when things were real rough, when my wife was working and I was working full time, and I had both kids and they weren't in school yet, and it was, okay, I'm going to start getting up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and I am going to use that time to get the things I need to get done. So then the rest of the day can just be other people needing me to do things. I'm available. I've already taken care of all my stuff. And it worked really well. But at a certain point, the accumulative exhaustion caught up, and I just couldn't do it anymore. But it worked at that time, and I'm glad I don't need to do it anymore. I'm definitely happier now.
Yeah. And this show brought to you by the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Just throw everything in.
Yes, exactly. Yes, hell yes. All right, let's close the book on this Bayonetta voice acting controversy mess.
My God.
Jason, these are Jason Schreier's tweets. I'm just going to read them because I think they do a good job of accomplishing exactly what I want to accomplish here. Platinum offered Helena Taylor between $3,000 and $4,000 per session for at least 5 sessions, according to 2 people familiar with the deal and documentation viewed by Bloomberg. Now, the reason that matters is because that directly counteracts the way Helena Taylor, who was the voice of Bayonetta, portrayed the thing here, and still claims this is what happened, that she was offered only $4,000 in total to come back and be Bayonetta. Jason Schreier has now seen documentation, and I think Andy Robinson over at VGC is corroborating some of this, and basically saying that's not exactly accurate. But yeah, we'll keep reading here. In response, the people said Taylor asked for a 6-figure fee and residuals. That led to negotiations falling apart. Taylor denies this account, and in an email to Bloomberg, she called that version of events an absolute lie and said that Platinum is trying to save their ass and the game. Taylor's videos have received more than 9.5 million views on Twitter and led to a deluge of calls from fans and pundits to boycott Bayonetta 3, but accounts and evidence reviewed by Bloomberg make it clear that those videos were not the whole story. Taylor's videos also led to a barrage of Twitter vitriol and harassment toward Platinum developers and new Bayonetta actor Jennifer Hale, who put out a statement saying she could not comment and subsequently retweeted a telling thread basically from the studio saying basically she was just trying to do what she could while being under what she said an NDA that prevented her from giving the specific details. It sounds like those were the specific details. This is a mess because the story is not in no way about fair compensation for voice actors anymore. It is now one actor said that they were being underpaid, but now seem to be essentially, the allegation here is now she lied about that. And another studio the studio saying like she is lying. And it's just about this he said, she said stuff. And to me, it's real disappointing because I can't do anything with that. That's a news story that's just sort of tawdry and annoying, and we will accomplish nothing by having a discussion about that other than to say try to wait for the whole story, which is what I think we tried to on Monday when we first brought this up. It's like, listen, if this is what she says it is, that's bad, and people should be paid more, but it feels like there's more to come. Obviously, here we are, and now it's just okay. A voice actors getting paid more is just the furthest thing from everyone's mind. I don't know. What's your take on all this? To me, I'm frustrated.
It's super, messy is the way to look at it. Like, you got to feel for folks like Jennifer Hale in this. She's
Absolutely.
getting attacked from all angles just for taking a job. I wouldn't say that she would have necessarily known the real ins and outs of all this. Helena Taylor stuff. Yeah, like Steve Wood, I hope I said your name right, said it's TMZ shit. TMZ literally picked up on this. That's how kind of just gross and public it all is. I don't understand the discrepancy between the original videos and then the stuff that's coming out, calling things an absolute lie. It's like, but if Schreier and Andy are looking at like the contracts and stuff, that's not a lie, is it? Like I'm at the point now, similarly to the Olivia Wilde, Harry Styles, Jason Sudeikis stuff, where it's too messy, too public. I was interested at the beginning because it's like, ooh, bit of drama, and then now it's just exhausting, and it probably should be taken behind closed doors and figured out.
Right.
It has sparked some really good conversation about residuals in the dev space, not just to do with voice actors.
Absolutely.
It's also sparked great conversation about what voice actors are owed, because a lot of them are extremely underpaid. There was all that stuff with the Jujutsu Kaisen actor recently. There's a lot of issues with being a voice actor. And it's great that now has more oxygen and is getting talked about. This particular scenario, like, it doesn't look good for Helena.
Yes.
Really. It doesn't look good for Platinum, regardless. Certainly doesn't look good for Kamiya-san going off on one of his classic rants. It's just a mess.
It's a mess, and it's you know, people don't actually have to take sides. It feels like these situations, like what you did, the Harry Styles thing, Jason Statham thing, all this stuff, they are presented as if you have to take a side, as if there's only, you know, the one option is to take one side or the other. We can just mostly just sit on the sideline and say, this feels like, to a certain extent, none of our business. Now, this is a news show. We will discuss the news aspects of this as best as we can. But I would encourage people to not take a side on stuff like this where you can avoid it, especially with incomplete information. And again, we try to just talk about the facts as we knew them or as they were being portrayed and what they could mean. And that's going to continue to be the tenor of this show. But in general, if it's, you know, people in their messy situations to do with their own contracts, or they're trying to get paid, or their divorces, or their marital stuff, just avoid taking sides in general, and you're going to be better off. You know, because there's one side of this was where, and Jason brought this up in a tweet that I didn't include here. You know, a lot of people kind of have a little bit of egg on their face from just really going hard at Platinum and buying Helena Taylor's story, you know, from top to bottom. And listen, I don't really kind of judge anyone too hard for that. Like, yeah, someone makes this plea and you want to be on their side. Of course you want to have their back, but this is the potential risk of a situation like that. And you don't have to take that side. You can just stay quiet and watch it from the sideline, and you're going to probably benefit from that and contribute to the discourse by not contributing to the discourse.
Capital D.
Yes. Netflix says it's considering launching a cloud gaming service and cites Stadia lessons. During a discussion at the TechCrunch Disrupt event, Netflix's vice president of games, Mike Verdu, revealed that the company was investigating the possibility of letting its subscribers stream games. We're very seriously exploring a cloud gaming offering so we can reach members on TVs and PCs. We'll approach this the same way we did with mobile, which is start small, be humble, be thoughtful, and then build out. But it is a step we think we should take to meet members where they are on the devices where they consume Netflix. Now, this is also paired with Netflix opening a new studio from the former executive producer of Overwatch. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Netflix is opening a new game development studio led by Overwatch executive producer Chaco Sonny. Sonny left Blizzard in September 2021 as one of a number of high-profile Blizzard departures taking place at that time. With a Blizzard statement saying he was leaving to take some time off. Now he's set to helm Netflix's fifth studio, which will be located in Southern California. Both these tidbits come from Verdu during this TechCrunch Disrupt panel. And I think this shows that, like, Netflix is willing to slowly build things up. The mobile gaming stuff did start small, and now they have 5 studios. And, you know, I guess it's not the slowest build up in the world, but it's not as fast as something like Stadia, Google, launching a new platform without being ready for it. This feels like, okay, we're going to get the content in place, and then we'll figure out what we need to do with that content and how we need to, to portray it to customers or whatever. Do you think that this slow and steady strategy from Netflix has the potential to work for them?
I don't know. I think this year was particularly rough on Netflix. I have a lot of friends who were kind of let go by Netflix when they culled their editorial stuff. I'm really intrigued by their mobile push, especially considering, what was it, like 2% of Netflix subscribers or something find the games on there. Like, at what point is slow and steady going to be enough for the powers that be in Netflix, especially when you are buying studios? Like, you know, they bought, there's Night School and then there's Flight School. They bought the Oxenfree devs. And now another studio. And now moving into streaming. It's like, I don't know if the push is necessarily great considering their financials. Like, it's always exciting to see money get put into new games, new development, new talent, but, like, I don't know, the way that Netflix kind of just like, oh, bad earnings report, let's just cull all this stuff, let's cull all this animation stuff, let's panic. It makes me feel uneasy. Yeah, they were maybe the canary in the coal mine with that stuff, right? We've seen a lot of companies do that exact same thing since then. Including Comcast with G4 and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, Stadia with like Shannon Sudsill from Sony Santa Monica went to launch a new studio for them, and then they were like, well, goodbye.
Yep. And Netflix is definitely in that position that you described, where they do have to find out what's next. They need that growth that they were just getting from being Netflix, and now being Netflix is clearly not enough for the future growth of that company. And so they've got to put feelers out, and they got to start finding out where can we manufacture growth. And gaming, they've obviously identified gaming as one potential avenue, but they haven't proven that that's actually going to work yet. And so if things go worse for Netflix, you can imagine them pulling the plug on the gaming stuff. Or if they do find another avenue that isn't gaming that does work, you could say, well, then this is working, we don't need to do the gaming stuff anymore. So there are like you can see, like the 2 of the 3 boxes are boxes where the gaming stuff gets shut down. And then even if it is like nothing else works and the financials are fine, the gaming stuff could just still fail on its own merits, where no one actually wants Netflix to do that stuff. But we'll see.
Wait, where are they getting the? Do they have that streaming tech? Could they just pick apart the carcass of Stadia? Hey, maybe they could have saved all those Stadia controllers. You know,
yeah. I
slap a red N on them.
I think that they've invested a lot in their movie streaming tech, and I bet that they are ready to apply that to real-time gaming. I bet that side of the stuff is sewn up and taken care of for Netflix. The side, I think you hit it right there. The controller. How do you get people who have a Netflix account to actually interact with your games beyond using a TV remote? Many of them don't have a controller. Many of them who do are already using that controller on another device. And the idea of even pairing it with their TV so they can use Netflix, or I suppose maybe you could use the Netflix app on a PlayStation using a DualSense. But is Sony going to allow that? There are a lot of hurdles between having the tech and getting it to people in that last mile. And I just, I'm not sure if I am confident that Netflix has the capacity to solve those issues. It is Silent Hill Day, and we are all mourning for Jess as she prepares for this. We'll see what happens. I did get a roundup here. This comes from Ollie Welsh over at Polygon of the rumored Silent Hill games. I figure we can go over them one more time and see what actually comes through. So here's what to expect, maybe. Silent Hill, the short message, which is, how do we find out about this? That was rated, I think, in South Korea. Silent Hill, the short message. We don't know what that is, but to me, I am all in on it being a playable teaser that maybe even gets released like soon. But what do you think? Do you think this is a PT style thing from Konami, or is this a mobile game or something?
Oh gosh, sure. Yeah, I mean, a playable teaser would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? So I think, they were like, oh, look what happened for PT, but now Kojima's not here, so we can do it. It's fine. I think that would make a lot of sense.
It's, it worked so well for Silent Hills. And they took away PT. I think, we could do it again ourselves without Kojima. I think you're right. And then a new mainline Silent Hill game from a developer in Japan. We don't know which developer. I think even a lot of these rumors come from the Aesthetic Gamer on Twitter. I think even they have been struggling to track down who exactly is working on this. But this would be the potential Silent Hill 5, which, of course they're going to do that. If this is their strategy, is to bring back a lot of Silent Hill stuff, of course they were also going to do a new Silent Hill. Konami making a brand new game, even with a partner, even bringing in a studio from elsewhere in Japan.
Who made Metal Gear Survive?
That's a good question. Was that internal at Konami? I don't remember.
Maybe.
Yeah, Metal Gear Survive developer.
Tam just went, stop.
Yeah, Konami Digital Entertainment, made internally. Director Yoda.
Do not ask these questions.
I mean, why not that team, right? That's a perfect match.
That's a valid question.
Yeah. It was just psychically damaging Jess and Tam right now. Something like that. They do, but that was 2018. Who knows? That team doesn't seem like they've been working on much. So was any of that talent left over? Or maybe this is what they went to work on right away, and we're just finally seeing it. Then a remake of Silent Hill 2 made by Bloober Team. So another sort of monkey's paw situation where you get more Silent Hill 2, the game that everyone really loves from this series. It's back with a remake, just like Resident Evil remakes. Only it's made by Bloober Team. Sorry. The hope here would be that Silent Hill 2 is already an established story, so Bloober Team doesn't need to do any of their bullshit. They can just make a pretty looking game, right?
Bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
And then an episodic series of short stories. This is the one that seems like the most nebulous in terms of confirmation. It's something that was apparently going to happen in Annapurna. No guarantee that it's still with Annapurna, but Annapurna also could be doing a movie and TV show, or a movie or a TV show, because there's definitely that side of things is also happening. Konami's interested in
this Elijah Wood's been tweeting like eyes emoji, and then Jeff Keighley was tweeting eyes emoji.
Now I've seen Elijah Wood riding on what are those things, those scooters, the little stand-up scooter things.
Yeah, where he just looks so unbothered.
Yes,
yeah.
I've seen him at E3 doing that, and so he like is always at E3, just likes video games.
He's a huge gamer.
Maybe he's just a fan of Silent Hill, but also, eyes emoji. A movie, TV show, and Annapurna could be involved in all of these projects, or it could be someone else. I've heard other production companies names thrown around that were definitely very close to either landing this deal or closing the deal, and are actually the ones working on it. But we'll wait and see. It's actually it's a surprising name that's involved there in terms of which production company. But all of those, we could say all these things have been rumored. We could very well go into today, and all that gets announced is maybe the Silent Hill 2 remake from Bloober Team Part 1.
Everything's coming to PSN or whatever,
right. It could be very slight. Now, there was someone that did that YouTube video, a preview stream of what to expect or whatever. And I don't know if they used music from Silent Hill 2, but it got marked as content ID from YouTube as Silent Hill remake Silent Hill 2 remake Part 1. Yeah, so they have a lot of explaining to do over at Konami. Yeah. What exactly are you planning here? And we're going to find out in a few hours. That live stream is today at 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So the end of the day here. And let's see. Yes.
And it's 50 minutes, that presentation as well. So
seems there'll be a remake of Silent. Okay, so this comes from Reset Era. Silent Hill presentations, YouTube tags, reveals list of projects to be revealed.
Oh my god.
Should we just do this? Yeah, metadata. Now it's called the Silent Hill transmission. So that's one of the tags. Silent Hill Ascension. Is that anything? I'm not very familiar with the Silent Hill franchise. Return to Silent Hill. Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2. A PlayStation, of course, is one of the tags. I mean, that's been one of the rumors all along, is that Sony was part of making all of this happen. So, yes. And then teaser trailer interview. Steam. Yeah, so Steam's on there as well. Okay, well, I guess we'll find out exactly what all this means in just a mere few hours. Then finally, we have the thing you were all waiting for, not just for this show, but in life. Pokemon is partnering with Crocs. Let's see here. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, from a tweet from the Pokemon News UK, introducing the Energy Style Classic Pokemon Clog with Pikachu's electrifying expressions, the classic Pokemon Clog 2 with fan favorite Pokemon and more. Which will you choose? Which will you choose trainers? Excuse me. They said there.
Well, they're not trainers. They're Crocs.
Yeah. There is the one with Pikachu. So yeah, it's very orange and yellow.
No, look. Let's call a spade a spade. Those are hideous.
Those
are hideous.
Right. Okay, of course they are. They're Crocs. What do you want? A handsome looking Croc?
The orange yellow ombre that they're working on. The other ones, the white ones with just like the dots of like, oh, there's a Squirtle and there's a whatever. They are fine because weirdly they're more understated than that.
Right, but
hot rod of a fucking shoe travesty.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't listen, if I'm wearing Crocs, I want them to be ugly. And I think that that's the aesthetic you go for. I want them to look like I am trying to channel the most Post Malone energy possible. And I think he would wear a Hot Rod Pikachu. He did a Pokemon music video or whatever the fuck. Jan in chat says they're great. I think this is great how bad it is. Maybe I'm being ironic. Maybe you just honestly hate them, and maybe Jan is just genuinely in love.
Jan, I love these. I'm sorry, Jan.
Oh, man.
And if you wear them in my presence, I won't say anything, but I'll go.
I'll be like, what are those? All right, let's
like what you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least you're buying you a pair. I mean, hey, if they're comfy, I'll wear them around the house. I just wear a pair of Adidas slides. Okay, that's my go-to take the bin out shoe. You know.
I'm getting.
Everyone has one.
Some. Crocs are expensive, but I'll get some. All right, let's see here. I have a poll up from Monday that where we asked about the Silent Hill event. Let's get to that real quick. What is your expectation level for the Silent Hill event out of 4? 4 being the highest possible expectations. People are setting the bar low here. 38.2%, the highest of all 4 categories here, gave it 2 stars out of 4 in terms of their expectation levels. Then 32.5% said 1 out of 4. So that's the vast majority. 70% of respondents just have very low hopes for this. Then 19.8% say 3 out of 4. And the chosen few, 9.5% are 4 out of 4 excited, just off the chart, stars for eyes. They believe this is it. Konami employees. Yes, exactly. Where are you at with this?
I'm not a Silent Hill person, so I'm happy if you're happy.
Yeah, so that's kind of same here. It's interesting that it's finally actually happening, and after so many years. But beyond that, I'm like, hey, I just want the Silent Hill fans in my life to get what they need. I just want you to get what you need.
I just hope you're okay.
Let's see. Let's do a poll about that Microsoft Game Store. 'Cause I knew I was forgetting something to come up with them, but I think this is fine. Let's see. Can a Microsoft mobile game store succeed? Yes and no. And let's do Game Mess Mornings for the hashtag. In the meantime, Lucy James, you got anything happening this week we should talk about? Anything on Giant Bomb we should talk about?
So we've got an episode of Jeff's coming out today. Bit of a weird episode. It's episode 9 of the podcast. It's The Lovers Part 2 and the next episode that we watched. Just some really weird stuff going on in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, unsurprisingly. And then Friday, we're playing, I'm very excited, Overwatch. Overwatch 2 on Unprofessional Fridays, and me and a bunch of us. Has the other thing been announced that we're going to talk about, like the little embargo thing on Friday?
I don't know if we can say, but we have a thing on Friday.
Another thing on Friday.
We got another thing on Friday. We'll be talking about upcoming games. I mean, put 2 and 2 together, everybody.
Come on.
It's not. I've made a decision here real quick. Would you wear the Pikachu Crocs? Thank you, Jan. I saw. All right.
Stay tuned after GMM on Friday.
Well, I just switched it up. I am tweeting that now, and I will reply to that with a picture of the Crocs. Let's just grab that real quick. Let's copy image, and then reply. Control V. There we go. All right. Let's transition back here and wrap this thing up. So, a lot happening this week. Tune in today for Silent Hill. Tune in tomorrow for Resident Evil. We'll figure all this stuff out, but definitely stay tuned to the website. I got a little bit of the thing here. Let's see, Wednesday. Yeah. We're going to Arcade Pit in a little bit, and then Eternal Darkness at the Heart of My Soul after that. So I'll get a bite to eat, and then I'll try to deal with Jeff and Dan bickering at each other like a couple of old maids. I thought you were about to say, like, I'll try to deal with buying these Crocs. Well, listen, I do have to steel myself for that life decision, absolutely, but I think I have the strength within me to pull that one off. We'll see. Are they available for sale now? Because I will do it live on stream if they are not like 200. They probably like way.
Wait, how much are they?
Yeah,
are they selling them yet?
Yeah, let's find out. Let's get the exact details. Adamicus asks, does Giant Bomb both monitor Twitch chat and the chat on their webpage? I'm always conflicted where to view on. Yeah, I don't monitor chat anywhere. I've never read a chat. I'm just joking. Yes, we do. We do it both. They actually have a way to do it both here on our website. So I see you all there. Hi Twitch and
I've got
hi
them both.
Site. Well, yes, exactly. Nuzlocke Grubb.
Oh my god! Wait! There are other Crocs that we did not look at. There is a Croc sandal. Which is only $45. And there's also a
All right, let me go to Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm on crocs.com against my better judgment.
Oh, you mean my homepage? Okay.
Yeah, there's you can buy an elevated Pokemon 5-pack of different buttons or something.
All right. Oh, let's transition back real quick.
Oh wait, the classic Pokemon clog, which is the ombre one, only has 4 stars. But the classic Pokemon 2 clog has 5 stars, and they are $60 each.
Okay. Oh, I can get 50% off. That's a deal.
Why you got the Croc hookup?
I went to crocs.com. Well, I just went to the website, and they're like, hey, have 15% off. So if you sign up to our thing, I'm like, well, maybe I will. That's probably going to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
I can't find the Pokemon stuff. Whatever. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Lucy, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. It was great to have you back. You're the best audience in gaming, everybody. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.